Contato Real Smooth, is such a unique movie. It's a coming of age film in a way about that awkward time in your life, like right out of college, when you're still trying to find yourself and figure out who you want to be, what you want to do. And seriously, I'm just so thrilled to be able to talk to you guys today. We've got the director, producer, writer, actor, Cooper Raiff, producer, actor, Dakota Johnson, and we've got the rest of the cast here, this amazing cast that Cooper assembled. I want to hear about how you guys came together because you are all so fantastic in this. Vanessa Burkhart, Evan Asante, Raul Castillo, and national treasure, Leslie Mann. I mean it, seriously, Leslie, you have made an impact on my life in so many films, so many great films.
Same.
I know Cooper,
yeah. Same.
She's your favorite actress, right?
Oh yeah, she's my favorite actress, totally.
Well, I mean, let's not be, come on, let's not be
all three of them are my favorite actresses.
That feels like an insane question to ask. It's like 9:30 in the morning.
I love all three of these actresses so much, but it was so exciting when literally every single person came on. It was the same amount of excitement. And it started with Dakota, and then Leslie, and then Vanessa, and then Evan, and then Raul. It was, every time it felt like a dream.
But bottom line, I'm your favorite.
But bottom line,
yeah. You're my favorite too, so it's fine.
So Dakota, you came on board as a producer as well. At what stage did you discover this story? I mean, did you see Shithouse originally?
I was filming a movie in Greece, and my producing partner, Ro, met with Cooper. They had a great meeting. She said, you need to watch this movie, and then if you want to meet this guy. So I watched the movie, and it's so special, and he's so special. So then we met on Zoom, and then Tea Time came on to produce. He told us he had a project called Cha-Cha Real Smooth. And it was like, at that time it was an idea. It wasn't a full script yet. So then we developed it with him. He went away and wrote it like real fast. And then we went back and forth a lot and like really just went through and made everyone super special. And then when it came to casting, we started a search for both Evan and Vanessa. And that was really amazing because first of all, they were both like, immediately we were like, okay, it's them. But we got to see so many incredible young actors. And then when we were casting Leslie's role, I was like, maybe she would do it because I love her so much. So I texted her and we sent it over, and it really felt like everyone signed on because they loved it, and Raul as well.
I think, Cooper, you've said that this is a movie about like someone who's starting other people's parties. I wish he literally does, but it's like in a more kind of metaphorical sense, like he's living for other people, he's defined by other people, and he's trying to figure out his own journey. Is this something that you went through as well? Like what from your own experience fed into this?
No, yes, it is definitely. My 20s are very much like Andrew's 20s. It's the time when you have to start your own party. And so I wanted to write a character who was really not good at that. He was great at starting other people's parties. And I do relate a lot to that. And,
finding Evan and Vanessa, I mean, two such important parts of the cast. How did you go about that? Dakota, you said that was one of the first parts of the casting process, finding the two of them. How did you go about that?
It was a long process. And it was actually the very beginning of the movie making process. Like the first thing we did was search for these kids or not kids, young adults. Yeah, it was, we searched far, like Vanessa's from New Jersey, Evan's in Oklahoma. We like went through a lot of different tapes. And when we saw both of their tapes, it was like, oh, duh, that's them.
You worked really closely with Vanessa in prepping, apparently you had a lot of Zoom conversations.
Yeah.
Vanessa, what were those conversations like with Cooper leading up to the film when you were working on the character?
Well, I like to be prepared and I like to know what's coming for everything. So we mostly just went over like scene by scene. We didn't talk too much about Lola. It was mostly scenes.
Yeah, we like went through, we Zoomed a lot and we would rehearse. We rehearsed some over Zoom.
Yeah.
And I wish we were in person rehearsing, but it was nice Vanessa was always down to Zoom and discuss what the process was going to be like in Pittsburgh, where we shot it.
What I love is, this is a film so much about parental relationships, parent-child relationships. Cooper, your relationship with Leslie Mann playing your mom, and Vanessa, as Lola with Dakota as your mom, Domino. Those relationships are really tender and really spoke to me a lot. I have a great relationship with my mom too. That's not something that you see all that often. Like you see it so often in movies, parent-child discord and conflict and all this. But where did that sweetness, that tenderness come from in the writing, Cooper? And then Dakota, I wonder if you could talk a little bit about like what your inspirations were for playing these great maternal characters.
My answer is really easy and short. It's just I love my mom very much, and so my scripts I think reflect that love for my mom.
And my answer is short also. I love my daughters and could totally relate to not wanting to have my son leave, maybe not feeling like he's ready, but like when they're ready, and then it's easier to let them go. Like with my own kids, even though I'm not allowed to talk about them anymore. My youngest daughter graduated from high school and then went to college just recently and was just done with us. Like but it felt okay for her to go because she just felt ready. She didn't feel like she needed us. And then with my eldest daughter, who shall remain nameless.
She's gonna love this.
She kind of stutter-stepped a little bit. She like went away to college, but then wanted to come home, and she felt like she needed us, but then didn't, and then did, and so it was a little harder to let her go. And I feel like we do that movie,
that.
yeah. And
the push and pull of like, I need you, I don't need you. I'm so mad that you're trying to help me growing up right now, but I need you so badly. Yeah.
Yeah. And especially then, the bond between Domino and Lola as well. I mean, such a lovely thing to depict. Dakota, that particular character, this character of Domino, is so nuanced and has so much going on.
I think that bond on screen was just because of the way Vanessa and I are in real life. I love her. I think she's like the most wonderful person. And she brought such a wonderful vibe to set. And her mind is so magnificent. It's like she's so cool to be around. And the same with Cooper. It was kind of the three of us a lot of the time. And I love him so much. I think he's so brilliant. And it's really nice to be with people that are just really lovely and loving and smart and talented. I like to be around those kinds of people. I think is such a gift, and it informs the work. If it's easy and you genuinely love each other and get along, then it's so much easier to work.
And when you have a script that's full of such humanity and such depth and such complexity to it, that it doesn't force any of these characters into types in any way. Like when we first meet your character, Raul, when we first meet Joseph, we think, oh, is he going to be sort of a nemesis? Is he going to be, because we've been trained by other movies to sort of think of this guy as sort of like, what is he? Is he, going to be a rival or whatever? But there's such humanity to your character, Raul. There's such, depth there that comes across ultimately. And what ultimately spoke to you about the way that Joseph was written?
I was sort of saying this to Cooper the other day via text, but I don't know if I put it so explicitly, but it's sort of a depiction of masculinity that you don't see a lot. And he sort of flipped the script on it, and sort of, for me, it was a no-brainer because I feel like I've always leaned into those kinds of roles in general, and Cooper's that kind of storyteller where he's interested in sort of that's how I felt when I watched Shithouse, sort of, it's not your typical depiction of young manhood, and that's so refreshing. And this is what I texted to Cooper, was I wish I had a film like this when I was his age, because I feel like it would have been really helpful.
I mean, Cooper, like how important was it to you to get Raul's character just right here? Because I feel like he's a really important part of the puzzle. So is Brad's character, for that matter. He fills a similar role.
Yeah, well, I'm just very in love with all of my characters. And so I want the audience to also be as in love with the characters as I am. So I think like that there's a scene with Joseph where he comes to the car, and that, I don't want to spoil anything, but that scene was like one of the first scenes that I thought of with this movie. And so it wasn't like, oh, I have to throw that in some loop or something. Like that was kind of always what the movie was about. And yeah, Joseph was really important to get right. And we were so lucky to have Raul playing Joseph.
I think also Raul has a quality about him that can be so, like, he can look really menacing, but then is really cozy.
Yes.
And that was exactly what we were hoping for. Like
The ultimate husband.
yeah.
Very good.
I love that. Menacing but cozy. That could be the definition of the ultimate.
There was some hesitancy because I was like, oh, I still want audience members to at least somewhat, I don't want to spoil anything. But there was hesitancy because he's so awesome. And I was like, how am I actually gonna stand up against this person? Everyone's gonna be like, what are you doing? But yeah.
And then the other great emotional thread of the movie is with Evan as Andrew's younger brother, and that brotherly connection that you guys have. Cooper, how did you go about writing that, and what advice did you give to Evan about playing it?
Well, that's one of my very favorite relationships in the movie. It's very much, I have two little sisters. I don't have a little brother, so it was kind of really exciting to get to play an older brother to a little brother. But I think that character is very much based on my little sister Mandy, and we have a relationship that we're very far apart in age. So we go through phases where we're really close and phases where we're not very close because we don't see each other very often. But like, I'm always really shocked and like thrown back by how much we relate and how similar we are. And I think that that's kind of what the movie is tracking. And with Evan, just like with Vanessa, we zoomed a lot and talked a lot about the character. And I don't think I gave him any advice or any good advice, but we did talk a lot about the character and we rehearsed some. And Evan was always really excited, and I was always really excited to talk about the movie and the character and all that.
Yes, that sounds about right.
Evan, was there something in particular that you did to prepare for playing your character, for being Andrew's little brother?
Well, I have an older sister, so I do have that sort of relationship, the sibling relationship that me and Cooper have. Really, the main thing that I wanted to do was get to know Cooper so we could have that kind of relationship. Cooper, I think of as my older brother now. We're just really close, and I really like Cooper. He's so fun to be around. I wouldn't say there's anything that I did specifically to prepare for the film, but when I got there, Cooper immediately made me feel at home, and it was just so fun working with him that I felt like I was his brother from the first day on set.
I love that you're based in Oklahoma and you're able to have this whole career in the entertainment industry as an actor. That's sort of our new reality, that you're able to basically live anywhere and have these careers. I mean, do you audition like over Zoom mostly from Oklahoma, or how do you go about finding roles?
I send in a lot of self-tapes when I'm auditioning. It's really only if I go farther, like to callbacks, like that's how I met Cooper, was over Zoom. But it's very easy to, act from anywhere now. Even Oklahoma has a lot of projects going on.
Yeah, it was very easy to cast like on Zoom too. Like it was something you always want to be in person, of course, but there was no question, even when we were just on the Zoom for the callback, that like, this is my little brother, for sure.
Just hearing that from you, Evan, is really interesting. And obviously, Cooper, I mean, you're such a young guy yourself, this is your second film, and it's just so interesting to see, young talent, just percolating in this way. Raul, Leslie, Dakota, I mean, you guys are more veterans in that regard. You've been in the business a long time and done a lot of amazing things. Like, I'm curious for you guys, like, what advice would you give your younger selves now about entering the business? Something that you know now that you wouldn't have known then.
I wish I'd carried myself like I knew I was gonna be where I'm at, much younger. I feel like we can be our own worst enemy a lot of times.
I think I would want to like stick to my guns a little bit more in terms of artistic choices or how I should have been treated, or, you know, standing up for myself a bit more. But it's like, it's also kind of impossible to do that on movie
I
sets.
know.
Like your whole job is to be told what to do and how to be. But then there's also like, there's a really fine line between doing your job in that way as an actor and then also being in situations where you kind of cower or you hide. You know, I started young, so I was just little.
Baby.
Yeah.
I would say to my younger self, maybe, this is just one of the things I would say. Trust your instincts, do what you love, and be patient. Just like calm down. And because I think it's so overwhelming, like all, you know, you get so caught up in all of the things that don't really matter. And if you just like focus on the things you love to do, what like feels right, then you're like, chances are you're headed in the right direction. Is that a good thing to say?
Yes, Nessa and I are over here taking notes. Really great advice.